Welcome back. Mr. Hettiarachchi, now what would you say to the public? Now, if someone brings up this argument that, okay, this is not the first time we have postponed local government elections. We have postponed elections in the past as well. So, aren't you making a mountain out of a molehill kind of thing? I mean, aren't you sort of overreacting to the fact that the government has postponed the elections? Though certain intentions may be sort of very visible, certain intentions on the part of the political powers that be may be sort of quite apparent, but still, is it a case of, sort of exaggerating things? I mean, when you make an issue out of the postponement of this election, how would you answer that question? I mean, if a member of the public poses that to you.
I think only way is to pressing the authority, the government. That is why, as PAFRL, we file a case as the last options in the within the legal framework. But if it is postponed again and again, if people come to the road, if they rally around, then the government or a party, they can't say no, because if there is a huge pressure from the public, from the voters' end, then nobody can say no, whatever the situations. Even the voters has changed the government time to time, not only Sri Lanka, any other. I mean, there are countries who had a dictatorship, so they have changed by the voters. So if they are trying to postpone, I mean, not like Pudukkottai and Muhudu it's an isolated case now. I mean, anyway, it has postponed in the past because of the war situations. But in the southern part of the country, rest of the country, we did not postpone elections something like this in the past, even though maybe 1 year, the maximum, except the northern part. So the voters has to take a leading role. The civil society has to take a leading role. Whether they support the government in the past, whether they support in the regime change, that is a different issue. For us as an election monitoring body, we doesn't care who is in the power, we doesn't care who is coming to power, but we stand for the people's democratic values. We stand for the principle of the democracy. So we as an organization, we are ready to take any challenge, but of course we have to request for the public also. If they are trying to postpone even after next year, early next year, we are now thinking government may decide due to the legal factors, or maybe the politically also, if it is postponed again and again, it will badly affect for the ruling people. So if they postpone beyond the early next year, then the people has to come to the road, because this is very important for the people of the country, especially the village level, for their day-to-day runs, rather than the parliamentary or the provincial authorities.
Yeah.
Just to add one thing to Rohana's very good remarks on this. I mean, this is not just about the people's right to choose the local councillors to represent them. It is go far beyond that. The level of corruption at the local levels, local councils at this particular norm.
Yeah, that is what you're saying is that under the bureaucrats.
It's a bureaucrat. Under the bureaucrats, there are so much of issues now raised, which we have not think of, which we have not heard before. There are so much of technicality issues. I mean, for example, I mean, when you are having a representative, whether it's a UNP, SLFP, JVP or TNA, Muslim Congress, it does not matter. People, the villagers, the people around them go for their representatives, and if they see some injustice, they will go for their representatives and they make their case without political differences. The local councillors take up these issues in their the sessions at the council. So that's where the bureaucrats cannot operate on their own. Now the decisions are not making at the request of the people. It is not consulted with, as there's no representatives, it was not gone to the representation. The council is not gathering information, and the people, the bureaucrats, the officials do whatever they want on the local council levels. Even some areas, they might think of developing a farm. They are using their resources to develop, develop a playground. Maybe the need of the area might be a library or something else. Maybe a renovation of a road or something like that. Are they using the tube lights or the street lights in the area is the most concerned factor. Are the garbage are collected in a proper manner? It might be the most concerned factor for these people. But that consultation is not taking place. What I am saying is that this has opened up so many other unthinkable cases which is not highlighted at the national level so far, just because of the delaying of the elections. So, this we have enough time to tackle with this, and now we feel that enough is enough, and definitely I think the political parties are getting this message very clearly from the bottom, and that is why the UNP, we have seen the president, the prime minister is going village to village, the electorate to electorate, raising their membership drive down there. And I go to know that today the SLFP, the president's, the headquarters, the SLFP headquarters has asked some of the previous local council members to have their interviews for the nominations and all that. I think the momentum is building, which will be getting uncontrollable to some of these factors who is deliberately delaying this particular thing. But by showing that particular thing, and they can further delay it, and that's where the concerns of the people, the voice of the people is much important. Raise your voice against these sort of very calculated, manipulated ways of handling with the local politics. And that is something we have learned from the Rajapaksa regime. People didn't speak up. So, that has then it has gone beyond the control, and this government at the very beginning, if they try to start the same pattern, same manipulating methods and tactics for that matter, the people has to raise this raise their voices against that, or otherwise it might go beyond control within no time.
Yeah. Can I add one point, maybe not exactly your questions, but it related to the local elections. Just to one point, what you asked is that there are some exceptional cases in some local authorities, depend on the officer who is in charge of the local authority or secretary or the commissioner. In some cases, they are running well. I mean, fair for the staff officers also, because we know that some cases. But most of the areas were controlled by the chief ministers, and some cases we know that the former chairmen and the mayors are controlled, even though they are not in office.
Okay.
But worst scenario is, as Keith said, that there are a lot of, I mean, more than 50% of the places having a lot of problem.
No, Rohana, let's open about this. Right. In Western province, the chief minister is the one who is controlling the whole local councils, and he was instructing the secretaries of the Western Provincial Council on checks, on payments, on what are the development plans are they are having. This is not good governance. It's the chief minister, I'll name him, it's the chief minister who's controlling all the local councils, and we have seen it in some other places, but we are having very concrete evidence that the Western chief minister is controlling almost all the local councils at the Western Provincial Council level, and he is moreover asking weekly based expenditure sheets and new development plans which has been approved. For what? So, this is not fair. This is not fair. I mean, as Rohana very correctly said, some of the government officials are doing a very fine job, and they are doing some consultations, maybe not the best practices when it comes to the public representation, but they do consult some of these people, maybe leading groups, police and the other concerned factors when it comes to the development and the other factors. But it is the political motivation at the district levels by the chief ministers are the key factor which might, who is benefiting out of that.
Yeah.
Politically.
I want to
Yeah.
raise, I don't know if the time permit, I want to raise two important point here.
Yeah.
I mean, it's related to the local elections. In the new system, it's a completely abolished the Manapaya.
That's right.
So the voters doesn't have any choice. Once you vote for UNP, whoever in the list will get elected. Once you vote for SLFP, whoever in the list, they will get elected. So it is very important in these upcoming elections, because it is a completely list system. There are 3 lists, and legally there are 2 lists, but in practically 3 lists, all the lists prepared by the political party. So we need to pressurize the party to bring the proper people, quality people. Otherwise, no point. The number will be a double. Earlier we had somewhere around 4,400 members. With the new system, more than 8,000. So the number will be double, but the quality may be big issue. That is number 1. Number 2, before next local election, even in fact we wrote to the Prime Minister yesterday asking the campaign finance limitation, upper limitations. Otherwise, in the last election, there are some candidates spend millions for the whole local authority area to get the votes. In any case, if they use the same amount of money in a very small geography, maybe 1 village or 2 village, so there will be a vote buy. So, I mean, in practically, it can be there, because we know how the politicians behave in the last elections.
Yeah.
So this is more serious issue. So before next local elections, we have enough time. Even within 1 month, 2 months time, we can bring it here, because there are a lot of countries, even in the Asian countries, they have this system.
Yeah.
It's mostly based on the number of voters. So we can decide the amount. So 1 voter for, let's say 100 rupees.
A limit on expenditure.
Exactly. Limit of expenditure is must, because this is the small vote. So it has to address before the next local elections.
Yeah.
One other factor related to the same question, now we have seen some of the political parties at the ward levels have already selected their candidates, and they were given some money, money from the government ministries and some provincial councils, of course, to do some developments which definitely benefit when it comes to the elections, because if the political parties have decided who will be the candidate for the vote, so using public finance for that, maybe through a ministry or a project or through the provincial system, of course, I think that is given a definite advantage for that the known candidates who is coming from whichever the political party. So that issue is now on the rising, and we have seen such huge presidential amount of money was allocated to some of the votes, some of the selected votes. So that factor is also now coming into act.
Yeah, Mr. Hettiarathy and also Kirti, I would like your opinion on this fact. Now, we have had one local government election after another, and the administrations at the local government level have changed regularly. And since 1991, we haven't had a long period when there have been no elected local government institutions.
Yes.
Now, will it take some time, now that we have been under bureaucratic control, these institutions have been under bureaucratic control for more than 1.5 years, will it take time to adjust and get back into that usual mode of where things are controlled by elected representatives of the people? How will those things pan out, in your view?
I think, Chandrabrahma, it won't be a major issue. Whenever the political representation is down there, the political willingness is down there, they adjust to the situation within no time. For example, I mean, after such a long time, in the north and the east, we had local council elections. At the very beginning, the elected representatives, even the council chairmen and all that, they didn't know how to write a letter, where to address the issues and where to raise their concern factors. And we have seen that trend in Mana, in Kilinochchi, Mullaitivu areas. And within no time, they catch it up. They catch it up, and they knew that. I mean, they want to get some help from the others. Maybe civil society open it up. The political parties help them. The individuals help them. Maybe people with such experience on these areas help them to write letters. Right? Then they go. I mean, politicians, whether they are at the local levels or the national, they are smart. They know that they want to get it done. Working. I think, I mean, it won't be a major issue, because I mean, in the north we didn't saw that. I mean, for the first 6 months, yes, there was an issue, but when the consultations are coming on, then the people go to know about things, when they look for the new knowledge and all that information, so they adjust to the situation accordingly. And I don't think it will be a major factor, but letting the bureaucrats to dominate, I think it is very dangerous, because when it comes to the public representation, whether they are black, green or whatever it is, they are representatives. They finally,
at least they are sensitive.
They are sensitive to the cases. And we have seen that whoever the people, we have seen that so much of people now blaming on politicians, and in the same time, the other side of the coin, I mean, they are at least sensitive for the causes, they are sensitive for the reactions of the people, for that matter, but which the bureaucrat is not doing.
Yeah, well, on that positive note, I think we can conclude this discussion on the local government elections. Thank you very much for being on the program, Mr. Hettiarachchi, and also Mr. Tennekoon.
Thank you very much.
We discussed a whole range of issues with regard to the local government elections, why they are being postponed, the delimitation commission, and all that. And we hope you found it a useful discussion. Thank you, everyone.